You do not become financially independent by accident. You do not build wealth because you got lucky, felt motivated, found a shortcut, or waited for life to become easy. You build wealth when you become the kind of person who makes disciplined decisions while everyone else is making excuses. Your money follows your identity. Your future follows your habits. Your freedom follows your emotional control. If you cannot control your spending, your impulses, your time, and your thinking, you will always be controlled by bills, pressure, fear, and other people's decisions. This audiobook is about training your mind to build wealth, not excuses. Chapter 1. Stop thinking like a broke version of yourself. The first thing you must understand is this: your financial life will not change until your financial identity changes. Not your budget first. Not your income first. Not your bank account first. Your identity first. Because if you still see yourself as broke, helpless, unlucky, behind, confused, and powerless, you will keep making decisions that match that image. You will spend like someone who does not believe they can win. You will avoid your numbers like someone who expects bad news. You will delay discipline like someone who thinks the future is already lost. Your money follows your mind. Your life follows your identity. Change the person, then change the numbers. That is the key. Most people want a better financial life, but they do not want to become a different kind of person. They want more money, but they keep the same habits. They want peace, but they keep avoiding responsibility. They want freedom, but they keep choosing comfort. They want confidence, but they refuse to look directly at the truth. You have a choice. You can keep thinking like the old version of yourself, or you can start training your mind to become disciplined, controlled, and serious. Because wealth is not only built with money. Wealth is built with identity. Wealth is built with decisions. Wealth is built with emotional control. Wealth is built when you stop defending weakness and start practicing ownership. If every time money comes in, your first thought is relief, escape, and reward, then your money will disappear. If every paycheck feels like permission to finally breathe, finally spend, finally forget your stress, then you will stay trapped in the same cycle. Friday comes. You get paid. For a few hours, life feels lighter. So you order food. You buy small comforts. You tell yourself, "I deserve this." You ignore the bill that has been sitting there. You avoid checking the account. You say you will start next week. You say this month was different. You say things will improve when you make more money. Then Monday arrives. The money is smaller. The pressure is back. The bills are still there. The future still feels heavy. And now you are waiting for the next paycheck to rescue you from the same pattern you repeated again. That is not just a spending problem. That is an identity problem under pressure. Because the broke version of you does not only live in your bank account. It lives in your reactions. It lives in your excuses. It lives in your emotional spending. It lives in your avoidance. It lives in the sentence, "I am just bad with money." Stop saying that. Stop saying, "I am bad with money," like it is a permanent identity. Stop using your past as proof that your future cannot change. Stop turning old mistakes into a personality. You are not bad with money. You are untrained. You are undisciplined in certain areas. You have repeated habits that produced painful results. But habits can be changed. Skills can be built. Discipline can be trained. Start saying, "I am becoming disciplined with money." Say it until your behavior begins to follow it. I am becoming disciplined with money. I am becoming responsible with money. I am becoming calm with money. I am becoming the kind of person who tells money where to go instead of wondering where it went. That is not fake motivation. That is identity training. Your mind must hear a new command before your life can follow a new direction. You do not need their permission. You do not need the approval of people who are also financially lost. You do not need to explain your discipline to people who confuse spending with living. You need to make a decision. You have a choice. You can protect the old story, or you can build a new standard. The old story says, "I never have enough." The new standard says, "I will manage what I have with discipline." The old story says, "I will start when things get easier." The new standard says, "I start now because things are difficult." The old story says, "I deserve to spend because I am stressed." The new standard says, "I deserve freedom, so I will not let stress control my money." That is the shift. It is not about shame. It is about responsibility. It is not about being perfect. It is about becoming aware. It is not about hating your life. It is about taking ownership of your life. Control the habit, control the future. You cannot control everything about the economy. You cannot control every price. You cannot control every emergency. You cannot control what your parents taught you about money. You cannot control the mistakes you made 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or last month. But you can control the next decision. You can control whether you check your account today. You can control whether you write down your bills. You can control whether you cancel the thing you do not use. You can control whether you save before you spend. You can control whether you pause before buying something you do not need. You can control whether you keep lying to yourself or finally face the numbers. That is where power begins. Most people are not financially powerless because they lack intelligence. They are powerless because they lack confrontation. They refuse to confront their habits. They refuse to confront their emotional triggers. They refuse to confront the gap between what they say they want and what they do every day. They say they want freedom, but they spend like comfort is the goal. They say they want stability, but they avoid planning. They say they want wealth, but they keep trying to look successful instead of becoming stable. Build before you show. Do not try to impress people while your foundation is weak. Do not buy the image of progress before you have built the reality of progress. Do not perform confidence while avoiding discipline. The strongest financial moves are often quiet. Nobody claps when you track your expenses. Nobody cheers when you skip an impulse purchase. Nobody praises you when you cook at home, pay down debt, or save a small amount consistently. But those quiet decisions are changing you. They are training your identity. Every time you choose discipline, you prove something to yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you become more trustworthy to yourself. Every time you face the truth instead of avoiding it, you weaken the old broke identity and strengthen the new one. That is how transformation works. Not in one dramatic moment. Not with one speech. Not with one lucky opportunity. But through repeated proof. Your identity is built by evidence. If you keep giving yourself evidence that you quit, avoid, overspend, complain, and delay, your mind will believe that is who you are. But if you start giving yourself evidence that you plan, save, learn, control, and follow through, your mind will begin to believe something new. You become disciplined by practicing discipline. You become responsible by practicing responsibility. You become financially confident by repeatedly facing money without fear. You are not trapped by your past habits unless you keep protecting them. Read that again in your mind. Hear it clearly. You are not trapped by your past habits unless you keep protecting them. The danger is not that you made mistakes. The danger is that you defend them. The danger is that you explain them so many times that you never correct them. The danger is that you build an identity around struggle and then reject every behavior that could free you from it. Some people are more loyal to their excuses than they are to their future. Do not be one of them. If you want a different financial life, you must stop being emotionally attached to the version of you that created the current one. That version may have survived. That version may have been doing the best it could. But that version cannot lead you into financial independence. The next version of you must be calmer, more honest, more disciplined, more patient, more focused, less reactive, less impressed by temporary pleasure, less controlled by other people's opinions. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, ignore it tonight. Freedom says, face it now. Comfort says, buy it because you feel bad. Freedom says, do not create future pressure for temporary relief. Comfort says, you can start later. Freedom says, start with one action today. And one action is enough to begin. Open the banking app. Write down the debt. Create the savings transfer. Cancel the subscription. Pack the lunch. Apply for the better job. Learn the skill. Track the spending. Make the plan. Do one thing that proves you are no longer waiting to become serious. Then do it again tomorrow. That is the key. Your money follows your mind. Your life follows your identity. Change the person, then change the numbers. You have now learned that financial change starts with identity before strategy. You are not trapped by your past habits unless you keep protecting them. But this is only the beginning. Because once you stop thinking like a broke version of yourself, you must face the next truth. Chapter 2. Build wealth before you look wealthy. The fastest way to stay financially weak is to spend your future trying to look successful today. That is the truth most people do not want to face. They do not want wealth. They want the appearance of wealth. They do not want freedom. They want applause. They do not want stability. They want people to think they are doing well. And that is how they lose. Quietly, slowly, repeatedly. Because looking wealthy is easy. Building wealth is hard. Looking wealthy can be purchased with a credit card. Building wealth requires discipline. Looking wealthy can happen in one weekend. Building wealth takes years of private decisions. Looking wealthy impresses people who are not paying your bills. Building wealth protects you when life stops being easy. Build before you show. Stack before you shine. Own before you display. That is the key. You have a choice. You can use money to create an image, or you can use money to create options. You can use your income to impress people, or you can use your income to protect your future. You can chase the feeling of progress, or you can build the structure of progress. But do not confuse them. The feeling of progress is dangerous when it is not backed by discipline. A person gets a raise. Their paycheck increases. For the first time in a long time, they feel a little breathing room. And what happens? They upgrade the phone. They upgrade the car. They upgrade the clothes. They upgrade the restaurants. They upgrade the apartment. They upgrade the lifestyle before they upgrade the foundation. Now from the outside, it looks like they are doing better. People notice. People compliment them. People say they deserve it. People say, you work hard, enjoy yourself. And maybe they do work hard. Maybe they are tired. Maybe they have been under pressure for years. Maybe they want to feel like they are finally moving forward. But the numbers tell a different story. No emergency fund. No investments. No margin. No plan. No real protection. No breathing room if the job changes, if the car breaks, if rent rises, if a medical bill appears, if life does what life always does. The outside changed while the foundation stayed weak. That is not progress. That is decoration. And decoration does not protect you. A nicer phone does not protect you. A cleaner outfit does not protect you. A more expensive car does not protect you. A lifestyle that depends on everything going perfectly does not protect you. It only makes the pressure look better from the outside. Real progress is not what people see. Real progress is what protects you when life gets hard. Freedom is built in private. Stability is built when nobody is clapping. You need to understand this deeply. Some of the most important financial moves you will ever make will look boring to everyone else. Saving money looks boring. Paying down debt looks boring. Keeping the same car looks boring. Living below your means looks boring. Saying no looks boring. Cooking at home looks boring. Building skills after work looks boring. Investing consistently looks boring. But boring builds. Boring creates space. Boring creates peace. Boring creates leverage. Boring creates the version of you that does not panic every time something changes. Control the habit, control the future. You do not need their permission to live with discipline. You do not need approval from people who are also trapped in payments, pressure, and performance. You do not need to explain why you are not buying what they buy. You do not need to defend why you are saving. You do not need to apologize for choosing freedom over comfort. Because many people will encourage your financial weakness if it makes them feel comfortable about their own. They will tell you to live a little. They will tell you money comes back. They will tell you everyone has debt. They will tell you that you deserve it. They will tell you not to be cheap. They will tell you not to think too much. They will tell you to enjoy the moment. But they will not pay your bills. They will not rescue your future. They will not sit with you when the stress hits. They will not carry the weight of your decisions. So stop building your financial life around the opinions of people who do not have to live with the consequences. Build before you show. Stack before you shine. Own before you display. It is not about being cheap. It is about being disciplined. It is not about never enjoying life. It is about enjoying life without destroying your future. It is not about hiding. It is about building something real before you announce something fake. There is a difference between spending because you can afford it and spending because you want to feel important. There is a difference between a planned purchase and an emotional performance. There is a difference between enjoying money and using money to convince people that you are not struggling. That is where many people get trapped. They use spending as proof that they are improving. They use purchases as evidence that they are moving up. They use objects to cover insecurity. They buy the symbol before they build the substance. But symbols are weak without substance. A car payment can make you look successful and keep you financially trapped. Designer clothes can make you look confident and leave you with no savings. A lifestyle upgrade can make you feel elevated while your debt grows quietly in the background. And every time you do this, you train your mind to believe that progress must be visible. That is dangerous, because the deepest progress is often invisible. Nobody sees the debt you did not take on. Nobody sees the purchase you walked away from. Nobody sees the transfer to savings. Nobody sees the investment you made instead of the impulse buy. Nobody sees the skill you practiced. Nobody sees the quiet decision to stay focused. But you see it, and your future will feel it. You must become the kind of person who can win without needing immediate recognition. You must become the kind of person who can build silently. You must become the kind of person who can delay the visible reward because you are committed to the invisible foundation. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, upgrade now. Freedom says, stabilize first. Comfort says, you deserve to look successful. Freedom says, you deserve to actually be secure. Comfort says, people will notice. Freedom says, peace matters more than applause. That is the key. Every raise needs a rule. Every bonus needs a purpose. Every increase in income needs a direction before lifestyle absorbs it. If you do not create a plan for extra money, your old habits will create one for you. So when money increases, do not immediately increase your lifestyle. Increase your safety. Increase your savings. Increase your debt payments. Increase your investments. Increase your skills. Increase your future options. Give every new dollar a job before your emotions give it an excuse. This is how you build wealth before you look wealthy. You create margin first. You create reserves first. You create stability first. You create ownership first. Then, when you spend from strength, not insecurity. You spend with control, not pressure. You spend because it fits the plan, not because you need to prove something. The goal is not to look poor. The goal is not to punish yourself. The goal is not to live small forever. The goal is to stop sacrificing long-term independence for short-term appearance. There is nothing powerful about looking rich and being financially fragile. There is nothing impressive about owning nice things while being owned by payments. There is nothing successful about being one emergency away from panic. Real success is breathing room. Real success is options. Real success is being able to say no. Real success is having savings when life hits. Real success is not being controlled by every bill, every boss, every crisis, every impulse, every opinion. Become serious about the foundation. Look at your life honestly. What are you maintaining for image? What are you paying for because you are afraid of looking behind? What did you upgrade before you were ready? What habit is stealing from your future while pretending to reward you today? Face it. Do not shame yourself. Correct yourself. Sell what needs to be sold. Cancel what needs to be canceled. Pause what needs to be paused. Stop comparing. Stop performing. Stop pretending that appearing stable is the same as being stable. Start building the quiet systems. Automatic savings. Regular debt payments. A simple budget. A basic emergency fund. Consistent investing when appropriate. Skill development. Lower waste. Better decisions. Fewer emotional purchases. More patience. More ownership. Repeat it daily. Build before you show. Stack before you shine. Own before you display. Freedom is built in private. Stability is built when nobody is clapping. You have now learned that wealth must be built before it is displayed, and that real progress is not what people see, but what protects you when life gets hard. But this is only the beginning. Because once you understand this, you must face the next truth. Chapter 3. Discipline is the price of freedom. Freedom is not created by doing whatever feels good. Freedom is created by doing what is necessary when it is uncomfortable. That is the truth. That is the line. That is where most people lose. They want the results of discipline, but they want the lifestyle of impulse. They want peace, but they avoid structure. They want options, but they refuse limits. They want financial independence, but they still let their mood decide what happens to their money. You cannot build freedom while obeying every feeling. You cannot build stability while surrendering to every impulse. You cannot build wealth while living without rules. Discipline now, options later. Control now, freedom later. Pay the price, or pay the consequences. That is the key. Many people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is punishment. They think discipline means suffering. They think discipline means life becomes smaller, colder, stricter, and less enjoyable. But that is not discipline. Discipline is protection. Discipline is direction. Discipline is the fence around your future. Discipline is what stands between you and the version of life where bills control you, emergencies break you, and other people decide what you can tolerate. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. Discipline is the price of freedom. You have a choice. You can pay the price of discipline today, or you can pay the price of regret tomorrow. You can feel the discomfort of saying no now, or you can feel the pressure of having no options later. You can control the habit now, or you can be controlled by the consequences later. Control the habit, control the future. Look at the person who says they want financial peace. They want to stop worrying. They want to stop living paycheck to paycheck. They want to feel confident when bills arrive. They want savings. They want investments. They want breathing room. They want freedom. But they refuse the routine. They refuse to track their spending. They refuse to write down what comes in and what goes out. They refuse to plan meals, so they keep paying for convenience. They refuse to save automatically, so saving depends on whatever is left, and there is never anything left. They refuse to say no to impulse purchases, because saying no feels uncomfortable in the moment. Then they wonder why nothing changes. They want the result without the routine. But the routine is what buys the result. You do not get financial peace because you wish for it. You get financial peace because you build rules that protect it. You get financial peace because you stop letting your emotions run your bank account. You get financial peace because you decide in advance how money will move, how time will be used, how spending will be controlled, and how your future will be funded. A life without rules becomes a life ruled by emergencies. Say that again in your mind. A life without rules becomes a life ruled by emergencies. If you do not create rules for your money, your bills will create fear. If you do not create rules for your time, distractions will consume your years. If you do not create rules for your habits, impulses will design your future. If you do not create rules for your work, comfort will weaken your ambition. If you do not create rules for rest, burnout will break your consistency. Every financially free person has rules. Not because they are perfect. Not because they are lucky. Not because they never enjoy life. They have rules because they understand something most people ignore. Without rules, your future is exposed. Rules for spending. Rules for saving. Rules for investing. Rules for debt. Rules for food. Rules for work. Rules for learning. Rules for rest. Rules for who gets access to your time. Rules for what you do when you are tired, stressed, bored, or tempted. That is not restriction. That is self-respect. It is not about control for the sake of control. It is about control for the sake of freedom. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, do not check your account today. Freedom says, look at the numbers. Comfort says, buy it now. You deserve it. Freedom says, pause. Ask if this helps or hurts. Comfort says, start saving next month. Freedom says, save something now, even if it is small. Comfort says, you had a hard day. Spend to feel better. Freedom says, do not create future stress because of today's emotion. That is discipline. Discipline is not dramatic. It is daily. It is quiet. It is repetitive. It is often invisible. Nobody sees the moment you close the shopping app. Nobody applauds when you cook the meal you already bought. Nobody celebrates when you transfer a small amount into savings. Nobody praises you when you review your budget instead of avoiding it. But those moments matter. Those moments are the foundation. Freedom is built in those small decisions that most people dismiss. Build before you show. Stack before you shine. Own before you display. You cannot build real independence if you keep needing every decision to feel good immediately. Some decisions will feel boring. Some will feel uncomfortable. Some will feel unfair. Some will make you feel like you are missing out. But you are not missing out. You are buying your future back. You are buying peace. You are buying options. You are buying the ability to say no. You are buying the ability to breathe. That is the price. Pay the price, or pay the consequences. And understand this clearly. Consequences do not ask for permission. Debt does not care that you were stressed. Bills do not care that you meant to start later. Emergencies do not care that you were tired. Lost time does not come back because you finally became serious. Life keeps moving, so you must move with intention. Start with simple rules, not complicated systems that impress you for 1 week and then collapse. Simple rules you can repeat. Rule 1. Know your numbers. Do not guess. Do not hide. Do not hope. Know what comes in. Know what goes out. Know what you owe. Know what you keep. Awareness is the first act of control. Rule 2. Save before you spend. Even if the amount is small, make saving automatic. Do not wait to see what remains after impulse has taken its share. Pay your future first. Train your mind to understand that freedom is a bill too. Rule 3. Pause before buying. Not forever. Just pause. Ask, do I need this? Did I plan this? Am I buying from purpose or emotion? That pause can save your future from your mood. Rule 4. Build skill every week. Financial freedom is not only about spending less. It is also about becoming more valuable. Read. Practice. Study. Improve. Learn something that increases your ability to earn, solve, lead, create, or serve. Rule 5. Protect your time. Your time becomes your money, your skill, your health, your focus, your future. If you waste your time casually, you will struggle financially seriously. That is the work. Not glamorous. Not loud. Not fake. Work. It is not about being flawless. It is about being consistent. It is not about never slipping. It is about returning quickly. It is not about hating comfort. It is about refusing to let comfort become your master. You do not need their permission. You do not need people to understand why you are changing. You do not need them to agree with your budget. You do not need them to approve your boundaries. You do not need them to clap when you choose discipline. Most people will not understand until the results become visible. And by then, you will not need their approval. Discipline first. Results later. Control first. Freedom later. That is how it works. The person you are becoming must be stronger than the impulse you are feeling. The future you are building must matter more than the comfort you are craving. The freedom you want must become more important than the excuse you are protecting. Because excuses are expensive. Avoidance is expensive. Impulse is expensive. Disorganization is expensive. Living without rules is expensive. And eventually, every undisciplined habit sends you an invoice. It may arrive as debt. It may arrive as stress. It may arrive as lost time. It may arrive as missed opportunity. It may arrive as dependence. It may arrive as being stuck in a job you hate because your financial life has no margin. That is why discipline matters. Not because you want to feel superior. Not because you want to punish yourself. Not because money is everything. But because without discipline, you are too easy to control. A person with no savings can be controlled by emergencies. A person with no plan can be controlled by fear. A person with no skills can be controlled by limited options. A person with no rules can be controlled by impulses. A person with no discipline can be controlled by anyone who understands their weakness. You must become harder to control. Control your money. Control your habits. Control your time. Control your reactions. Control your appetite for temporary relief. Control the habit. Control the future. Discipline now, options later. Control now, freedom later. Pay the price, or pay the consequences. You have now learned that discipline is not punishment. It is protection, and freedom is bought through rules, routines, and repeated self-control. But this is only the beginning. Because once you understand this, you must face the next truth. Chapter 4. Stop spending like you are still lost. Most spending is not logical. It is emotional. That is the truth you must face if you want control over your money. You do not only spend because you need something. You spend because you are tired. You spend because you are bored. You spend because you feel behind. You spend because you want relief. You spend because you want proof that life is getting better. You spend because for a few minutes, buying something makes the pressure go quiet. But the pressure always comes back. And when it comes back, the money is gone. Do not spend to escape. Do not buy to feel better. Do not let emotion swipe your card. That is the key. You have a choice. You can keep using money as emotional medicine, or you can start using money as a tool for freedom. You can keep buying temporary relief, or you can build permanent strength. You can keep rewarding yourself with future stress, or you can reward yourself with control. Because comfort spending creates future discomfort. It feels small in the moment. That is why it is dangerous. One delivery order. One online purchase. One extra subscription. One weekend out. One outfit. One gadget. One ride instead of walking. One little treat because the day was difficult. You tell yourself it is not a big deal. And maybe once it is not. But repeated small leaks become a financial flood. Repeated emotional purchases become a pattern. Repeated patterns become identity. And then one day, you look at your account and ask where the money went. It went to the version of you that refused to pause. Control the habit, control the future. Imagine this. Someone has a hard day at work. Their manager was difficult. The commute was long. They feel disrespected. They feel drained. They feel like life is asking too much and giving too little. So they decide they deserve something. They do not cook the food already at home. They order food. Then they scroll. They see something on sale. They buy it. Then they justify it. I work hard. I never do anything for myself. It was only a little. I deserve this. But the next morning, the feeling is gone. The purchase remains. The bill remains. The account is lower. The stress is still there. Now the reward has become another reason to feel trapped. That is the cycle. Stress creates spending. Spending creates pressure. Pressure creates more stress. More stress creates more spending. And unless you interrupt the cycle, it becomes your financial identity. You start living like someone who is still lost. You spend without direction. You buy without purpose. You react without thinking. You confuse relief with progress. You treat money like something that should make the pain stop, instead of something that should help build your way out. That must end. It is not about being weak. It is about being untrained. It is not about never enjoying money. It is about refusing to let emotion control money. It is not about punishment. It is about protection. Discipline is protection. You do not need to hate spending. You need to understand it. You need to study what triggers it. You need to know when you are most vulnerable. Are you spending after work? Are you spending when you feel lonely? Are you spending when you compare yourself to others? Are you spending when you feel like your life is not moving fast enough? Are you spending when you want to prove you are not struggling? Be honest, because the moment you name the trigger, you begin to weaken it. Do not spend to escape. Do not buy to feel better. Do not let emotion swipe your card. When you feel the urge to buy something you did not plan, pause. Not forever. Just pause. Take one breath. Ask one question. Does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? That question is powerful because it forces the truth into the moment. Does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? Not, can I justify it? You can justify almost anything. Not, do I deserve it? Your emotions will always say yes when you are tired. Not, is it on sale? A discounted mistake is still a mistake. Ask the real question. Does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? If the answer is farther, then you know what to do. Walk away. Close the app. Put it back. Delay the purchase. Wait 24 hours. Let the emotion pass before the money moves. That is how disciplined people operate. They do not pretend they never feel tempted. They create space between impulse and action. They understand that the urge is temporary, but the consequence may last much longer. Spend with intention. Save with purpose. Choose with power. You must stop letting your mood become your financial manager. Your mood is not qualified. Your stress is not qualified. Your insecurity is not qualified. Your boredom is not qualified. Your loneliness is not qualified. They are signals, not instructions. A bad day is a signal. It tells you something needs attention. It does not tell you to spend money you did not plan to spend. Boredom is a signal. It tells you your mind needs direction. It does not tell you to shop. Insecurity is a signal. It tells you your identity needs strengthening. It does not tell you to buy an image. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, buy it now and feel better. Freedom says, feel the emotion without obeying it. Comfort says, you deserve a reward. Freedom says, I deserve not to be controlled. Comfort says, it is just this once. Freedom says, this is how patterns are built. That is the key. You are not trying to become someone who never spends. That is not the goal. Money is a tool. It should support life. It should provide needs, stability, opportunity, generosity, enjoyment, and freedom. But enjoyment without intention becomes leakage. Spending without awareness becomes weakness. Comfort without limits becomes dependence. So create rules for emotional spending. Rule 1. Never make unplanned purchases when you are stressed, angry, lonely, tired, or insecure. Those emotions distort value. They make wants feel like needs. They make short-term relief look like self-care. Rule 2. Build a waiting period. If it is not essential, wait 24 hours. For larger purchases, wait longer. Time reveals whether the purchase is real or emotional. Rule 3. Assign enjoyment money on purpose. Put a clear amount aside for guilt-free spending. This matters. Discipline does not mean you never enjoy life. It means enjoyment has a boundary, so it does not attack your future. Rule 4. Replace the trigger with a better response. After a hard day, walk before you buy. Drink water before you order. Journal before you scroll. Call someone before you shop. Clean your space. Stretch. Rest. Think. Let the emotion move through you without giving it your card. Rule 5. Review your spending every week. Not to shame yourself. To learn yourself. Your bank statement is not only numbers. It is a record of your patterns. It tells the truth about what you run to when you do not feel in control. And you need the truth. Because you cannot correct what you refuse to see. You do not need their permission to change. You do not need to spend like your friends. You do not need to match their lifestyle. You do not need to explain why you are saying no. You do not need to prove you are successful by spending money in ways that weaken your future. Build before you show. If people do not understand your restraint, let them misunderstand. If they call you boring, let them talk. If they think discipline is too serious, let them keep paying the price of impulse. Your job is not to entertain their opinion. Your job is to build your freedom. Freedom is built in private. Stability is built when nobody is clapping. Every time you pause before buying, you are training power. Every time you say no to emotional spending, you are building identity. Every time you choose the future over the impulse, you are becoming harder to control. That is what this is really about. It is not about the coffee. It is not about the meal. It is not about the shoes. It is not about the small purchase by itself. It is about the pattern. It is about the decision-making system. It is about whether your emotions command your money or your values command your money. If your values command your money, you can build. If your emotions command your money, you will drift. And drifting is expensive. Lost people drift. Disciplined people decide. Lost people react. Disciplined people pause. Lost people spend to feel better. Disciplined people build to live better. You have a choice. Today, before you buy anything unplanned, pause and ask the question, does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? Then answer honestly. Then act like the future matters. Because it does. Spend with intention. Save with purpose. Choose with power. Do not spend to escape. Do not buy to feel better. Do not let emotion swipe your card. You have now learned that spending is often emotional, not logical, and that your power begins when you pause before money moves. But this is only the beginning. Because once you stop spending like you are still lost, you must face the next truth. Chapter 5. Your paycheck is not the plan. A paycheck is not a financial plan. A paycheck is only a tool. That is the truth you must understand. Income alone does not create financial independence. Getting paid does not mean you are building wealth. Making more money does not automatically mean you are becoming more free. If your habits are weak, more money will only give your weakness more room to operate. Income is not the plan. Discipline is the plan. Ownership is the plan. That is the key. Many people believe the next paycheck will save them. They believe the next raise will fix them. They believe the next bonus will finally give them breathing room. They believe if they could just make a little more, everything would become easier. Sometimes more income helps. Of course it helps. But income without direction disappears. Income without discipline becomes lifestyle inflation. Income without ownership becomes another cycle of temporary relief and long-term pressure. You have a choice. You can treat your paycheck like a rescue, or you can treat it like a mission. You can let money arrive and vanish, or you can tell it exactly where to go. You can live waiting for payday, or you can build a system that makes payday serve your future. Tell your money where to go, or you will wonder where it went. Most people do not have a money shortage only. They have a money direction problem. They work hard. They get paid. They feel relief. Then the money starts leaking. Bills take some. Food takes some. Convenience takes some. Subscriptions take some. Impulse takes some. Emotional spending takes some. Small upgrades take some. Unplanned purchases take some. And by the end, there is nothing left for freedom. Then they say, I do not know where it all went. It went exactly where your habits sent it. Control the habit, control the future. A paycheck without a mission becomes permission. Permission to spend. Permission to relax. Permission to avoid. Permission to delay responsibility for another week or another month. But a disciplined person does not see a paycheck as permission. A disciplined person sees a paycheck as an assignment. This money has work to do. This money must cover obligations. This money must reduce pressure. This money must build safety. This money must attack debt. This money must fund the future. This money must support skill building. This money must create options. This money must move you one step closer to freedom. That is ownership. Income is not the plan. Discipline is the plan. Ownership is the plan. Think about two people earning the same income. Same job level. Same paycheck. Same city. Same basic costs. At the beginning, they look equal. But they do not behave equally. The first person gets paid and immediately increases lifestyle. Every raise is spent before it arrives. A better paycheck becomes a better car payment. A bonus becomes a vacation paid for before savings are secured. A raise becomes more eating out, more shopping, more subscriptions, more image, more comfort. They feel like they are moving forward because life looks slightly better. But underneath, the foundation is still weak. No emergency fund. No consistent investing. No debt plan. No skill plan. No margin. They are earning more, but they are not becoming more free. The second person earns the same income but behaves differently. They save first, even if the amount is small. They pay down debt with intention. They avoid upgrading every time their income increases. They build skills at night or on weekends. They invest consistently when they are ready and informed. They keep lifestyle growth slower than income growth. 5 years later, the difference is not small. One person is still waiting for the next paycheck to rescue them. The other has options. One has more things. The other has more breathing room. One looks busy and upgraded. The other is quietly stronger. One spent the raise. The other used the raise. The difference was not luck. It was behavior repeated over time. That is the key. You do not become financially independent because money touched your account. You become financially independent because you assigned that money a purpose before your impulses assigned it an excuse. Build before you show. If your paycheck increases, your discipline must increase first. Not your image. Not your spending. Not your appetite for comfort. Your discipline. Because if income rises and discipline stays low, your expenses will rise to meet the income. That is how people make more and still feel broke. They are not broke because nothing came in. They are broke because nothing was directed. Tell your money where to go, or you will wonder where it went. Every paycheck needs a mission. Before it arrives, know the mission. Do not wait until the money is sitting there and your emotions are awake. Decide in advance. You need rules before the money comes in, because once the money arrives, temptation begins speaking. The mission must be simple. First, obligations. Pay what must be paid. Housing, utilities, transportation, food, insurance, minimum debt payments, basic responsibilities. Do not play games with obligations. Handle them first. Second, savings. Your future needs to be paid like a bill. Even a small amount matters if it is consistent. Saving is not just about the number. Saving trains identity. It tells your mind, I protect my future now. That matters. Third, debt reduction. Debt keeps your future income already promised to the past. Attack it with a plan. Not panic. Not shame. A plan. Every payment is a step toward getting your income back. Fourth, investing when appropriate. Learn first. Understand risk. Start simple. Be consistent. Do not chase hype. Do not gamble because someone online sounded confident. Investing is not magic. It is long-term ownership, patience, and discipline. Fifth, skill building. Use some money or time to increase your value. Courses, books, tools, certifications, practice, coaching, transportation to better opportunities, whatever fits your situation. Your earning ability is part of your financial engine. Build it. Sixth, planned enjoyment. Yes, enjoyment matters. But it must be planned. If you do not give enjoyment a boundary, enjoyment will eat the whole paycheck and call it self-care. That is how you give money direction. It is not about being perfect. It is about being intentional. It is not about being afraid to spend. It is about refusing to spend blindly. It is not about worshiping money. It is about using money to build a life where you are not controlled by pressure. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, spend first and save what remains. Freedom says, save first and spend with what is planned. Comfort says, you worked hard. Do whatever you want. Freedom says, you worked hard, so do not waste the result. Comfort says, the raise means you can upgrade everything. Freedom says, the raise means you can build margin faster. You do not need their permission to manage your paycheck seriously. You do not need to live like the people around you. You do not need to match their spending. You do not need to explain why you are not upgrading yet. You do not need to apologize for treating your future like it matters. Because it does. There is a dangerous trap in modern life. People are earning money, but not building control. They are busy, but not advancing. They are paid, but not prepared. They are working, but not designing. The paycheck comes in, the paycheck goes out, and the person stays in the same place emotionally, financially, and mentally. That is not a plan. That is survival on repeat. You must break the pattern. Start with the next paycheck. Not someday. Not when income doubles. Not when life is perfect. The next paycheck. Before it arrives, write down exactly where it will go. Give every dollar a category. Give every category a purpose. Give every purpose a reason. Obligations. Savings. Debt. Investment. Skills. Enjoyment. Future security. Tell your money where to go, or you will wonder where it went. Then track what actually happens. This is where honesty begins. If the plan says save, but the money went to impulse, do not hide. Correct. If the plan says cook at home, but convenience took over, do not collapse. Correct. If the plan says pay debt, but emotional spending won, do not defend it. Correct it. Ownership is correction without excuses. Control the habit, control the future. And do not underestimate small amounts. People delay because they cannot do something big. That is another excuse. Save something. Pay something. Invest in learning something. Cut something. Track something. Improve something. Small disciplined actions repeated over time become serious change. Your paycheck is not supposed to make you feel rich for 3 days and anxious for 3 weeks. Your paycheck is supposed to serve your life. It is supposed to support stability. It is supposed to build strength. It is supposed to create options. But it will not do that automatically. You must command it. Income is not the plan. Discipline is the plan. Ownership is the plan. You have now learned that a paycheck is only a tool, and that money without direction disappears into habit, impulse, and pressure. But this is only the beginning. Because once you understand this, you must face the next truth. Chapter 6. Kill the excuses that keep you dependent. Excuses protect your comfort, but they destroy your progress. That is the truth. And if you want financial independence, you must stop treating excuses like wisdom. You must stop treating explanations like solutions. You must stop repeating the same story while living the same life. Yes, life is expensive. Yes, wages can feel too low. Yes, emergencies happen. Yes, the economy can be hard. Yes, some people start with more advantages than others. But none of that changes this truth. If you use every obstacle as permission to avoid action, you will stay dependent. Excuses explain the problem. Discipline solves the problem. Ownership changes the future. That is the key. You have a choice. You can keep defending why you are stuck, or you can start studying how to move. You can keep saying, I do not make enough, or you can ask, what can I control with what I have? You can keep saying, "I will start later," or you can ask, "What small action can I take today?" You can keep saying, "Everyone is struggling," or you can decide that common struggle is not a reason to surrender. Do not worship the obstacle. Study the obstacle. Then move. Some excuses feel true. That is why they are dangerous. An excuse does not always sound like laziness. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. Sometimes it sounds mature. Sometimes it sounds like reality. I do not make enough. I am too tired. Everything is too expensive. I deserve this. I had a hard month. I will start when things calm down. And maybe there is truth inside those words. But truth becomes poison when it turns into permission to stay weak. It is not about pretending life is easy. It is about refusing to make difficulty your identity. It is not about ignoring real problems. It is about no longer using real problems as protection for repeated avoidance. It is not about shame. It is about awareness. Control the habit, control the future. Look at the person who says, "I cannot save anything." They say it with confidence. They believe it. They have repeated it so many times that it feels like a fact. But then the bank statement tells another story. Unused subscriptions, frequent takeout, delivery fees, convenience charges, impulse shopping, random online purchases, late fees from avoidance, small upgrades, small leaks, small decisions made without attention. The point is not shame. The point is awareness. Because small leaks can sink a financial life. A subscription you forgot about may look small. A delivery order after work may look small. A convenience fee may look small. A little impulse purchase may look small. But repeated small leaks become a system. And if the system is leaking, the paycheck will never feel like enough. Tell your money where to go, or you will wonder where it went. Now listen carefully. This does not mean every person can save a large amount immediately. It does not mean every problem disappears with a budget. It does not mean discipline magically removes high rent, medical bills, family obligations, unstable work, or real hardship. But it does mean you must stop lying to yourself about the parts you can control. That is ownership. Ownership says, "This is hard, but I will still act." Ownership says, "My income is limited, so my decisions must be sharper." Ownership says, "I cannot fix everything today, but I can stop making it worse." Ownership says, "I will separate the real obstacle from the repeated avoidance." That is the key. Do not worship the obstacle. Study the obstacle. Then move. If the obstacle is low income, study it. What skills increase your value? What jobs pay more? What certification could help? What relationship, application, portfolio, practice, or training could move you forward? What can you learn in the next 90 days that makes you harder to replace? If the obstacle is debt, study it. What do you owe? What is the interest? What is the minimum payment? What can be negotiated? What can be reduced? What debt should be attacked first? What spending keeps feeding the debt? If the obstacle is emotional spending, study it. When do you spend? After work? At night? When lonely? When angry? When you compare yourself? When you feel behind? Name the trigger. Build a rule. Create a pause. If the obstacle is chaos, study it. What bills are due? What is late? What is automatic? What is forgotten? What needs a calendar reminder? What needs a weekly money check-in? This is how disciplined people operate. They do not bow to the obstacle. They examine it. They break it down. They take the next step. Excuses explain the problem. Discipline solves the problem. Ownership changes the future. You do not need their permission to stop making excuses. You do not need your friends to become disciplined before you do. You do not need your family to understand. You do not need the people around you to stop complaining before you stop complaining. You do not need everyone else to approve of your new standard. Many people are emotionally invested in staying the same. When you begin to change, your discipline may make them uncomfortable. Your ownership may expose their avoidance. Your seriousness may threaten the excuses they still depend on. Let them be uncomfortable. You are not here to protect the excuses of people who are not building your future. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, "You had a hard day. Spend." Freedom says, "You had a hard day. Protect your future anyway." Comfort says, "There is no point saving a small amount." Freedom says, "Small amounts train discipline." Comfort says, "You will start when you make more." Freedom says, "You become disciplined before the increase, so the increase does not disappear." Comfort says, "Everyone is struggling." Freedom says, "Then I must become more intentional, not less." That is the line. You must stop letting common behavior become your standard. Just because many people are in debt does not mean debt is harmless. Just because many people live paycheck to paycheck does not mean you should stop fighting for margin. Just because many people spend to cope does not mean you should let emotion control your money. Common is not the same as correct. Normal is not the same as free. You have a choice. Start removing the excuses one by one. I do not make enough. Maybe not. But can you track what you make? Can you reduce one leak? Can you save $1? Can you build one skill? Can you apply for one better opportunity? Can you stop making the situation worse? I will start later. Later is where discipline goes to die. Later is comfortable. Later never asks anything from you today. But your future is built by today's actions, not tomorrow's intentions. I deserve this. You may deserve rest. You may deserve peace. You may deserve joy. But you do not deserve to create future pressure in the name of temporary comfort. You deserve freedom more than you deserve another impulse purchase. Everyone is struggling. Maybe. But you are responsible for your life. You cannot use the crowd as an excuse to stay uncontrolled. The crowd will not pay your bills. The crowd will not build your emergency fund. The crowd will not give you your years back. Build before you show. Stop trying to look like you are doing fine while your habits are quietly keeping you dependent. Stop protecting appearances. Stop feeding leaks. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop defending the same behaviors that keep producing the same stress. Start with a money audit. Look at the last 30 days. Not with shame. With honesty. Where did money go? What was necessary? What was emotional? What was forgotten? What was waste? What can be canceled? What can be reduced? What can be planned better? Then take action. Cancel one unused subscription. Cook one more meal at home. Set one automatic transfer. Pay one extra amount toward debt. Apply for one better role. Learn one valuable skill for 30 minutes. Create one weekly check-in with your money. Small moves matter because they change identity. You are no longer the person who avoids. You are the person who faces. You are no longer the person who explains weakness. You are the person who builds strength. You are no longer the person who worships the obstacle. You are the person who studies it, breaks it down, and moves. Control the habit, control the future. And understand this. Excuses feel protective because they remove pressure in the moment. If you say, "There is nothing I can do," then you do not have to act. If you say, "It is impossible," then you do not have to try. If you say, "The system is unfair," then you do not have to examine your habits. But the relief is fake. Because the bill still comes. The debt still grows. The stress still waits. The opportunity still passes. The years still move. Avoidance does not protect you. It delays the pain and adds interest. That is why you must become serious now. Not perfect. Serious. Not rich overnight. Serious. Not fearless. Serious. Serious enough to look. Serious enough to plan. Serious enough to cut waste. Serious enough to build skills. Serious enough to save something. Serious enough to stop lying. Serious enough to stop making excuses more powerful than your future. Excuses explain the problem. Discipline solves the problem. Ownership changes the future. You have now learned that excuses may explain your struggle, but they cannot be allowed to control your future, and that ownership begins when you study the obstacle and move anyway. But this is only the beginning. Because once you kill the excuses that keep you dependent, you must face the next truth. Chapter 7. Train your mind for delayed gratification. Wealth requires the ability to wait. That is the truth. Not the ability to dream. Not the ability to talk. Not the ability to get excited for a few days and then return to old habits. The ability to wait. The ability to delay. The ability to choose the future when the present is tempting you. The ability to say no to a smaller pleasure because you are building a bigger life. If you cannot delay pleasure, you will keep trading your freedom for relief. You will trade savings for impulse. You will trade investment for image. You will trade skill building for distraction. You will trade long-term strength for short-term comfort. And every time you do that, you train your mind to stay weak under pressure. Wait now, win later. Delay the impulse, protect the future. Patience is financial power. That is the key. You have a choice. You can have the quick feeling now, or you can build the stronger life later. You can spend the money immediately, or you can give it a mission. You can obey the urge, or you can train the mind. You can keep chasing small rewards, or you can become the kind of person who can hold steady long enough to build something real. Delayed gratification is not deprivation. It is direction. It is not about never enjoying life. It is about not sacrificing your future every time you want comfort. It is not about denying yourself forever. It is about refusing to let a temporary feeling make permanent decisions. It is not about being cold. It is about being controlled. Control the habit, control the future. Most people lose financially because they cannot sit with desire. They feel the impulse, and they obey it. They see the item, and they buy it. They receive the money, and they spend it. They feel bored, and they order something. They feel stressed, and they reward themselves. They feel behind, and they buy something to look like they are moving forward. But disciplined people understand the trap. The impulse is loud, but it is not wise. The desire is strong, but it is not in charge. The moment is tempting, but the future is watching. Wait now, win later. Imagine someone receives a bonus. Maybe it is from work. Maybe it is a tax refund. Maybe it is a commission. Maybe it is money they did not expect. For a moment, they feel powerful. They feel relief. They feel like life finally gave them something back. And immediately, the old mind starts speaking. Spend it before it disappears. Enjoy it before bills take it. You deserve this. You have been working hard. You never get a break. Buy the thing. Book the trip. Upgrade the lifestyle. Celebrate. So they spend it. For a few days, it feels good. There is excitement. There is relief. There is a story they can tell themselves. But after the money is gone, nothing has changed. The debt is still there. The emergency fund is still empty. The investment account is still untouched. The skill they needed to learn is still waiting. The pressure is still alive. The bonus became a celebration. But it could have been a seed. That is the difference between the undisciplined mind and the wealth-building mind. The undisciplined mind asks, "How can this make me feel good right now?" The wealth-building mind asks, "How can this make me stronger later?" That is the key. Disciplined people give money a job before emotion gives it an excuse. They do not let extra money become extra weakness. They do not let a bonus become proof that they can finally relax. They use it to reduce pressure, build margin, invest, learn, prepare, and move forward. They understand that not every increase is for spending. Some increases are for freedom. Some increases are for protection. Some increases are for ownership. Some increases are for building the version of yourself that cannot be controlled easily. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, "Spend it now." Freedom says, "Give it a purpose." Comfort says, "You are missing out." Freedom says, "You are building up." Comfort says, "You can save later." Freedom says, "Later is built by what you repeat today." You are not missing out. You are building up. Repeat that until it becomes your standard. You are not missing out when you save instead of spending everything. You are building up. You are not missing out when you drive the same car while others upgrade too soon. You are building up. You are not missing out when you stay home and work on a skill instead of buying another weekend of distraction. You are building up. You are not missing out when you invest patiently instead of chasing quick excitement. You are building up. Build before you show. The world will pressure you to consume now. Everything around you is designed to shorten your patience. Buy now. Pay later. Click now. Watch now. Upgrade now. Respond now. Reward yourself now. You are constantly being trained to believe waiting is pain and instant gratification is freedom. But instant gratification is not freedom when it keeps you dependent. It is a leash. A comfortable leash. A stylish leash. A socially accepted leash. But still a leash. Because every time you choose now at the expense of later, you weaken your future position. Every time you spend money that should have been saved, you reduce your margin. Every time you avoid learning because entertainment is easier, you reduce your future value. Every time you choose comfort when discipline is required, you make the next version of your life smaller. Patience is financial power. Patience allows you to ignore pressure. Patience allows you to wait for better opportunities. Patience allows you to let investments grow over time instead of panicking at every movement. Patience allows you to build skills before demanding rewards. Patience allows you to save for what matters instead of financing everything you want. Patience allows you to become steady while others are being dragged by their impulses. You do not need their permission to be patient. You do not need to explain why you are not spending. You do not need to defend why you are building. You do not need to match the pace of people who are quietly drowning in payments. You do not need to keep up with people who are performing success instead of building stability. Your path is not their performance. Your future is not their opinion. You have a choice. If you want to train delayed gratification, start small and repeat it daily. Do not wait for a major test. Train in ordinary moments. That is where identity is built. When you want to buy something unplanned, wait 24 hours. Let the emotion cool. Let the desire prove itself. If you still need it, and it fits the plan, then decide with control. But do not let the first impulse be the final decision. When you receive extra money, divide it before you celebrate. Give part to savings. Give part to debt reduction. Give part to investing if it fits your plan. Give part to skill building. Then, if appropriate, give part to enjoyment. But enjoyment comes after direction, not before it. When you feel bored, do not by stimulation. Build capacity. Read, walk, practice, organize, cook, review your goals, clean your environment, apply for something better, learn something useful. Boredom is not an emergency. It is an invitation to redirect your energy. When you feel behind, do not spend to look ahead. Build the foundation. The pressure to appear successful will attack your discipline. Resist it. You are not here to impress people with symbols. You are here to build a life that can stand. That is self-respect. Saving is self-respect. Investing patiently is self-respect. Learning a skill is self-respect. Paying down debt is self-respect. Saying no is self-respect. Delaying gratification is self-respect. It says, "My future matters." It says, "I will not abandon tomorrow for today's mood." It says, "I am becoming someone I can trust." And that matters because trust is built by repeated proof. Every time you delay an impulse, you prove you are not controlled by desire. Every time you choose the future, you prove you are serious. Every time you wait, you strengthen your identity. Wait now, win later. Delay the impulse, protect the future. Patience is financial power. Do not confuse speed with progress. Some people are moving fast in the wrong direction. Fast spending, fast upgrades, fast emotional decisions, fast debt, fast regret. They are busy, but not free. They are active, but not building. Wealth is often slow. Discipline is often slow. Skill building is slow. Debt reduction is slow. Investment growth is slow. Building character is slow. But slow does not mean weak. Slow can be strong. Slow can be stable. Slow can be permanent. You are not missing out. You are building up. One day, the discipline that looked boring will become freedom. The money you did not waste will become margin. The skill you practiced quietly will become opportunity. The patience you trained will become confidence. The comfort you refused will become options. That is how the future is built. Not by chasing every reward. Not by obeying every urge. Not by spending every increase. But by becoming the kind of person who can wait. Choose freedom over comfort. Build before you show. Control the habit, control the future. You have now learned that delayed gratification is not deprivation. It is choosing a bigger life over a smaller pleasure, and that patience is financial power. But this is only the beginning. Because once you train your mind to wait, you must face the next truth. Chapter 8. Increase your value before you demand more money. You cannot cut your way to every version of freedom. At some point, you must grow. That is the truth. Financial independence is not only about spending less. It is also about becoming more valuable. It is about building skills that increase your options. It is about becoming reliable in a world full of excuses. It is about communicating clearly, solving problems, learning faster, showing up consistently, and becoming the kind of person who creates value wherever they go. Build skill. Build value. Build leverage. That is the key. Many people want more money before they become more useful. They want a raise before they improve. They want opportunity before they prepare. They want respect before they build results. They want to be paid more, but they do not want to become stronger, sharper, more disciplined, or harder to replace. That does not work for long. You have a choice. You can complain about being underpaid while staying the same, or you can build value until your options multiply. You can wait for someone to notice you, or you can create evidence that cannot be ignored. You can stay average and resent the market, or you can become useful, disciplined, consistent, and serious. Your value is your leverage. Your habits are your reputation. This does not mean every workplace is fair. It does not mean every boss rewards effort. It does not mean good people are always paid what they deserve. Some environments are limited. Some companies exploit loyalty. Some managers do not recognize growth. Some industries are difficult. That is real. But here is the part you must not ignore. Even when the room is unfair, your value still matters. Because value gives you options outside the room. Skill gives you mobility. Proof gives you confidence. Reliability gives you trust. Problem-solving gives you leverage. And leverage gives you the ability to negotiate, apply elsewhere, build something, or walk away from weak opportunities. Do not worship the obstacle. Study the obstacle. Then move. If your income is too low, ask the hard question. Are you becoming more valuable, or only more frustrated? Are you learning anything that makes you harder to replace? Are you documenting results? Are you improving communication? Are you solving problems before being asked? Are you taking responsibility? Are you building something that gives you options? This is not about blaming yourself for everything. It is about owning the part that belongs to you. Excuses explain the problem. Discipline solves the problem. Ownership changes the future. Look at two employees. The first employee complains about low pay every week. They may even be right. But they do the minimum. They avoid learning new tools. They resist responsibility. They wait to be told every step. They bring problems without solutions. They do not track their results. They do not ask better questions. They do not improve their communication. They do not practice after work. They do not study the people earning more. They only repeat, "I should be paid more." Maybe they should. But they are not building leverage. The second employee starts from the same place. Same pay. Same company. Same frustration. But they move differently. They learn the tools other people avoid. They ask what problems slow the team down. They document what they improve. They become reliable. They communicate early. They take notes. They follow up. They build small systems. They study the next role. They practice skills outside of work. They collect proof. Over time, something changes. They become harder to replace. Then they negotiate with evidence. Or they apply elsewhere with confidence. Or they freelance. Or they build a side income. Or they move into a better role. Not because they complained louder, but because they became more valuable. Build skill. Build value. Build leverage. That is the key. Money flows toward value over time. Not perfectly. Not instantly. Not always fairly. But over time, the person who can solve bigger problems has more options than the person who only repeats bigger complaints. You must become a problem solver. Do not just ask, "How do I make more money?" Ask, "What problems can I solve that people value?" Ask, "What skill can I develop that increases my usefulness?" Ask, "What responsibility am I avoiding that could make me stronger?" Ask, "What result can I create and prove?" Ask, "What do people in better positions know that I do not know yet?" That is how you move from frustration to strategy. It is not about being perfect. It is about being useful. It is not about knowing everything. It is about learning consistently. It is not about begging for opportunity. It is about building leverage. It is not about waiting to feel ready. It is about starting before you feel ready and improving while you move. You do not need their permission. You do not need a manager to give you permission to learn. You do not need your friends to approve your ambition. You do not need the people around you to understand why you are studying instead of scrolling. You do not need anyone to clap because you practiced a skill when you were tired. Build before you show. Skill building is quiet. Nobody sees the hour you spend learning a spreadsheet tool, improving your writing, practicing sales conversations, studying coding, learning bookkeeping, improving your language skills, understanding marketing, reading about leadership, or preparing for a certification. Nobody sees the repetitions. Nobody sees the notes. Nobody sees the failed attempts. But the future sees them. Your future options are built in the hours most people waste. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, you are tired. Do the minimum. Freedom says, practice for 30 minutes. Comfort says, they do not pay you enough to care. Freedom says, I am building skill for my future, not just this job. Comfort says, wait until you feel ready. Freedom says, start now and become ready through repetition. Comfort says, complain with everyone else. Freedom says, study what creates leverage. Control the habit, control the future. And understand this clearly, your habits are your reputation. People remember how you operate. They remember whether you follow through. They remember whether you communicate. They remember whether you create confusion or clarity. They remember whether you take responsibility or hide behind excuses. They remember whether your work creates more work for others or removes problems from the system. Your habits speak before you negotiate. If you want more money, build the reputation that supports it. Be on time. Be prepared. Be clear. Be teachable. Be consistent. Finish what you start. Document your wins. Improve your weaknesses. Ask for feedback. Learn the language of results. Stop being vague. Stop saying, I work hard, and start showing what your work produced. Hard work matters, but hard work without proof can be ignored. Document the proof. What did you improve? What did you save? What did you sell? What did you organize? What process did you make faster? What problem did you solve? What customer did you help? What mistake did you prevent? What new responsibility did you take on? What skill did you build? This is not ego. This is evidence. When it is time to ask for more, do not walk in with emotion only. Walk in with evidence. Walk in with results. Walk in with the value you created. Walk in knowing the market. Walk in with options. And if the room refuses to recognize your value, do not collapse. Use the evidence somewhere else. That is leverage. Build skill. Build value. Build leverage. You must also stop confusing motion with growth. Being busy is not the same as becoming valuable. Working long hours without learning may keep you exhausted and still underpaid. Doing the same task the same way for years may build experience, but not necessarily leverage. You need intentional growth. Pick skills that matter. Communication matters. Learn to write clearly. Learn to speak directly. Learn to ask better questions. Learn to explain problems without creating drama. Problem solving matters. Do not only identify what is wrong. Bring possible solutions. Think in systems. Think in causes. Think in next steps. Reliability matters. Keep your word. Meet deadlines. Do what you said you would do. This sounds basic because it is basic. And that is why it is powerful. Many people do not do it. Technical skill matters. Learn the tools of your field. Learn the software. Learn the process. Learn the numbers. Learn what makes the business work. Emotional control matters. Do not let every inconvenience make you unstable. Calm people can lead. Reactive people create doubt. Consistency matters. One good week is not a reputation. Repetition is a reputation. Your value is your leverage. Your habits are your reputation. This applies whether you have a job, run a business, freelance, study, create content, sell services, or build from the bottom. The principle does not change. More value creates more options. More options create more freedom. More freedom creates more control over your life. And that is the point. You are not building skill just to impress an employer. You are building skill so fewer people can control you. You are building value so you are not trapped by one paycheck, one boss, one company, one opportunity, or one fragile plan. You are becoming useful because usefulness travels. Discipline travels. Reputation travels. Skill travels. Money confidence grows when you know you can create value. So start now. Choose one skill that can increase your earning power. Give it time every week. Track your progress. Practice when it is boring. Apply what you learn. Document results. Ask better questions. Seek better environments. Negotiate when you have evidence. Apply when you have outgrown the room. Build when you see an opportunity. Create from strength, not desperation. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness comes from repetition. Confidence comes from evidence. Leverage comes from value. Build skill. Build value. Build leverage. You have now learned that financial independence is not only about cutting expenses. It is also about becoming more valuable, more reliable, more useful, and harder to control. But this is only the beginning. Because once you understand this, you must face the next truth. Chapter 9. Make boring money moves until they change your life. Financial freedom is usually built through boring repetition. Not drama. Not luck. Not one perfect opportunity. Not one emotional breakthrough. Not one intense week where you promise yourself everything will change. Freedom is usually built through the simple actions people ignore because they are not exciting enough. Budgeting. Saving. Paying down debt. Investing consistently when it fits your plan. Avoiding waste. Building skills. Staying patient. Saying no. Repeating the same responsible moves long after the motivation fades. Boring builds. Consistency compounds. Small moves become freedom. That is the key. Most people are addicted to intensity. They want change to feel dramatic. They want a big moment, a huge raise, a perfect plan, a sudden transformation, a powerful burst of motivation. They want the feeling of becoming serious more than the routine of actually being serious. But intensity is unreliable. Intensity comes and goes. Systems keep working. You have a choice. You can keep chasing the feeling of change, or you can build the structure of change. You can keep waiting for motivation, or you can create a routine that does not need motivation. You can keep looking for something exciting, or you can respect the boring moves that build your freedom while nobody is watching. Do it when it feels small. Do it when nobody notices. Do it until the results cannot be ignored. That is how real financial change happens. A person decides to save a fixed amount every payday. At first, it looks unimpressive. The amount is not large. Nobody is amazed. Nobody claps. Nobody says, "Your life is changing." It is just a small transfer. Quiet. Ordinary. Easy to dismiss. But they repeat it. Payday after payday. Month after month. Year after year. They avoid unnecessary upgrades. They keep the same phone longer. They do not increase lifestyle every time income rises. They invest regularly when they understand the plan and can afford the risk. They pay down debt without making speeches about it. They improve their skills after work in small blocks of time. They review their spending weekly. At first, nothing looks impressive. Then one day, everything feels different. An emergency arrives, and they do not panic the same way. An opportunity appears, and they have money to move. A job becomes toxic, and they have enough margin to think clearly. A bill arrives, and it is not a crisis. A better investment in their own skill becomes possible. A door opens because they are prepared. The boring system became security. The boring system became opportunity. The boring system became independence. Boring builds. Consistency compounds. Small moves become freedom. You must stop disrespecting small moves just because they do not entertain you. Small moves are not weak when they are repeated. Small moves are not meaningless when they are connected to a plan. Small moves are not slow when the alternative is doing nothing for years. Control the habit, control the future. One saved dollar is not financial independence. But the identity that saves before spending can build financial independence. One skipped impulse purchase is not wealth. But the discipline that pauses before buying can build wealth. One night of studying is not a new career. But the habit of skill building can create leverage. One debt payment is not freedom. But repeated payments can remove chains. That is the key. It is not about the size of the action only. It is about what the action trains you to become. You are becoming the kind of person who follows through. You are becoming the kind of person who can repeat. You are becoming the kind of person who chooses the future without needing applause. You are becoming the kind of person who understands that boring does not mean useless. Boring is where strength is built. The gym is boring. Repetition. Sets. Form. Rest. Repeat. Skill is boring. Practice. Mistakes. Notes. Feedback. Repeat. Money is boring. Track. Save. Pay. Invest. Learn. Repeat. Freedom is boring before it is powerful. Choose freedom over comfort. Comfort says, skip it today. It is too small to matter. Freedom says, small matters because repeated matters. Comfort says, you are not seeing results fast enough. Freedom says, results are building under the surface. Comfort says, do something exciting. Freedom says, do the thing that works. Most people quit because the early stage does not give them enough emotional reward. They make a budget for 1 week. They save for 1 month. They work on a skill for 10 days. They avoid spending for a short period. Then they look around and say, nothing changed. Of course, nothing looks dramatic yet. You planted a seed and expected a forest by Friday. That is not discipline. That is impatience pretending to be evaluation. Wait now, win later. Delay the impulse, protect the future. Patience is financial power. The boring moves need time. Systems need repetition. Habits need proof. Compounding needs patience. Debt reduction needs consistency. Skill building needs hours. Savings needs paydays. Investing needs years. Identity needs evidence. You cannot demand the reward before you have respected the process. Build before you show. Do not announce every plan. Do not perform every new habit. Do not turn discipline into entertainment. Just execute. Quietly. Repeatedly. Seriously. Let the results become the announcement. Freedom is built in private. Stability is built when nobody is clapping. You do not need their permission to live a boring financial life for a while. You do not need to explain why you are not upgrading. You do not need to justify why you are saving. You do not need to prove anything through spending. You do not need to match the pace of people who are using payments to look successful. Your job is not to look exciting. Your job is to become free. And freedom requires systems. A system for spending. A system for saving. A system for debt. A system for investing. A system for learning. A system for reviewing. A system for making decisions when emotions are loud. Because motivation comes and goes, but systems keep working. When you are tired, the system works. When you are stressed, the system works. When you are not inspired, the system works. When nobody is watching, the system works. That is why automatic savings matter. You remove the debate. You stop asking your mood whether your future deserves funding. The money moves because the rule is already made. That is why scheduled debt payments matter. You stop negotiating with avoidance. The payment happens because freedom has been made part of the routine. That is why weekly money reviews matter. You stop hiding. You look at the truth before it becomes a crisis. That is why planned spending matters. You do not eliminate enjoyment. You give it a boundary. That is why skilled practice matters. 30 minutes repeated consistently can become a new ability. A new ability can become a new opportunity. A new opportunity can become new income. New income with discipline can become freedom. Boring builds. Consistency compounds. Small moves become freedom. There is power in being the person who does the obvious things seriously. Most people know they should spend less than they earn. Most people know they should save. Most people know debt should be handled. Most people know skill matters. Most people know impulse spending hurts them. Most people know avoidance makes things worse. But knowing is common. Doing is rare. Repeating is powerful. That is where the separation happens. Not in what you know. In what you repeat. You have a choice. You can be someone who understands discipline but does not practice it, or someone who practices it until it becomes identity. You can be someone who knows the right move but keeps delaying it, or someone who makes the right move even when it feels ordinary. You can be someone who needs life to feel exciting, or someone who respects the quiet process that builds a stronger future. Do it when it feels small. Do it when nobody notices. Do it until the results cannot be ignored. Start with the next ordinary day. That is where your future is hiding. Not in a fantasy. Not in a perfect month. Not after every problem disappears. The next ordinary day. Wake up and check the plan. Spend with intention. Save with purpose. Work with focus. Learn something useful. Avoid one leak. Delay one impulse. Keep one promise. Review one number. Make one payment. Build one piece of evidence that you are becoming disciplined. Then repeat. You do not need to transform your whole life in one day. You need to stop betraying your future in small ways every day. That is the difference. The same way small disciplined actions build freedom, small careless actions build pressure. The system works both ways. Convenience compounds. Avoidance compounds. Debt compounds. Impulse compounds. Wasted time compounds. Weak standards compound. So choose what you want to compound. If you repeat avoidance, you build dependence. If you repeat discipline, you build options. If you repeat impulse, you build regret. If you repeat ownership, you build confidence. Control the habit, control the future. Do not despise the boring season. The boring season is where you become dangerous to your old life. The boring season is where you learn to operate without applause. The boring season is where you stop needing emotions to carry you. The boring season is where discipline becomes normal. And once discipline becomes normal, your life starts to change in a way that feels calm. Not chaotic. Not desperate. Calm. You know where your money goes. You know what your priorities are. You know what habits protect you. You know what choices weaken you. You know how to return when you slip. You know how to keep moving. That calm is power. Financial independence is not only a number. It is a way of operating. It is the ability to make repeated decisions that protect your future. It is the ability to stay steady when others chase excitement. It is the ability to choose the move that works instead of the move that feels dramatic. Boring builds. Consistency compounds. Small moves become freedom. You have now learned that financial freedom is built through boring repetition, not dramatic breakthroughs, and that small disciplined moves become powerful when they are repeated long enough. But this is only the beginning. Because once you respect the boring moves that change your life, you must face the final truth. Chapter 10. Become the kind of person money cannot control. The highest level of financial discipline is not just having more money. It is becoming the kind of person money cannot control. That is the final truth. Because money can control people who have no margin. Money can control people who have no discipline. Money can control people who have no patience, no plan, no skill, no savings, no boundaries, and no emotional control. Money can control people who need too much, spend too fast, panic too easily, and say yes too quickly. But when you control yourself, money loses power over you. Control yourself, control your money. Control your money, control your options. Control your options, control your life. That is the key. Financial freedom is not only about numbers. It is about power. Personal power. Emotional power. Decision-making power. The power to say no. The power to walk away. The power to wait. The power to choose with a calm mind instead of a desperate one. Because desperation is expensive. Desperation makes you accept bad deals. Desperation makes you stay in toxic jobs. Desperation makes you borrow at the wrong time. Desperation makes you sell yourself short. Desperation makes you chase quick fixes, fake opportunities, and promises that sound too good because you are too pressured to think clearly. You have a choice. You can live in a way that makes you easy to pressure, or you can build a life that gives you room to breathe. You can stay dependent on every paycheck, every approval, every emergency, every impulse, or you can become disciplined enough that fewer things can move you. Freedom belongs to the disciplined. Peace belongs to the prepared. Think about the person with savings, low debt, valuable skills, and disciplined habits. They are not invincible. They still have problems. They still have bills. They still face uncertainty. But they are not easily shaken. An emergency arrives, and they do not collapse immediately. A toxic job becomes unbearable, and they can make a plan instead of begging for relief. A bad opportunity appears, and they can say no because they are not starving for any option. A sudden expense comes, and it hurts, but it does not destroy them. A person tries to pressure them, and they have enough control to step back and think. That is personal power. Now think about the person with no margin, no savings, high debt, weak habits, no plan, no skill growth, no control over spending. They may earn money, but they are still trapped. If the boss mistreats them, they feel forced to stay. If the car breaks, panic begins. If a bill rises, everything shakes. If someone offers a bad deal, they consider it because they have no room to choose. That is what financial weakness does. It narrows your options. It makes your world smaller. It makes your decisions more emotional. It makes other people more powerful in your life. Control yourself, control your money. Control your money, control your options. Control your options, control your life. This is why discipline matters. Not because money is everything. Not because wealth makes you superior. Not because you need to impress anyone. Discipline matters because without it, your life becomes too easy to control. A person controlled by impulse can be sold anything. A person controlled by ego can be pressured into performing success. A person controlled by comfort can be kept weak. A person controlled by fear can be manipulated. A person controlled by debt can be trapped. A person controlled by approval can be financially drained by people who do not carry the consequences. You must become harder to control. That means you control your needs. You stop needing every upgrade. You stop needing every trend. You stop needing every meal delivered, every weekend spent, every purchase justified, every opinion satisfied. You stop confusing wants with requirements. You stop calling every comfort necessary. It is not about deprivation. It is about discipline. It is not about living without joy. It is about refusing to let joy become an excuse for weakness. It is not about hating money. It is about no longer being emotionally ruled by it. Choose freedom over comfort. That means you control your habits. You check your numbers. You save before you spend. You delay impulse purchases. You pay down debt with intention. You build skill. You invest patiently when it fits your plan. You avoid waste. You repeat the boring moves until your life changes. Control the habit, control the future. That means you control your time. You stop giving your best hours to distraction and your leftover energy to your future. You stop saying you want more while spending your evenings feeding habits that keep you average. You stop pretending you have no time when your screen, your entertainment, your scrolling, and your avoidance are quietly collecting your life in small pieces. Your time is not unlimited. Spend it like it matters. That means you control your ego. You stop needing to look successful before you are stable. You stop buying proof. You stop performing confidence. You stop competing with people whose financial life you cannot even see. You stop letting comparison make your decisions. Build before you show. Stack before you shine. Own before you display. That means you control your decisions. You do not let stress decide. You do not let boredom decide. You do not let loneliness decide. You do not let insecurity decide. You do not let tiredness decide. You pause. You think. You ask the question, does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? That question must follow you. In the store. At work. On payday. During a raise. During a hard month. During a good month. During a tempting offer. During a moment of pressure. Does this move me closer to freedom or farther from it? That is the key. You do not need their permission to become disciplined. You do not need the crowd to understand your standards. You do not need approval from people who are still controlled by the same impulses you are trying to overcome. You do not need to announce your transformation. You need to live it. Quietly. Seriously. Repeatedly. Freedom is built in private. Stability is built when nobody is clapping. And understand this. The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to become steady. You will still feel fear. You will still feel desire. You will still feel pressure. You will still want comfort. You will still have moments where the old identity tries to return. But you are not ruled by every feeling anymore. You are not the old version who panicked and spent. You are not the old version who avoided the numbers. You are not the old version who waited for motivation. You are not the old version who needed to impress people. You are not the old version who let excuses protect comfort and destroy progress. You are becoming calm. You are becoming focused. You are becoming patient. You are becoming difficult to manipulate. That is wealth at a deeper level. Wealth is not just accumulation. Wealth is choice. Wealth is margin. Wealth is the ability to think clearly under pressure. Wealth is the ability to refuse what does not serve your future. Wealth is the ability to build slowly without needing applause. Wealth is the ability to sleep with fewer chains around your mind. Freedom belongs to the disciplined. Peace belongs to the prepared. So what must you stop doing? Stop spending to escape. Stop upgrading to impress. Stop avoiding your numbers. Stop letting your paycheck disappear without direction. Stop calling excuses truth when they are only protecting comfort. Stop chasing intensity and start respecting consistency. Stop waiting to feel ready before you build value. Stop acting like your future is someone else's responsibility. And what must you start doing? Start telling your money where to go. Start saving with purpose. Start reducing debt with a plan. Start building skills that increase your options. Start delaying gratification. Start creating rules for spending, time, work, rest, and growth. Start reviewing your habits without shame and correcting them without delay. Then repeat daily. Not for 1 week. Not until the first obstacle. Not only when life feels easy. Repeat until discipline becomes identity. Repeat until your habits become your protection. Repeat until your money starts serving your freedom instead of feeding your weakness. Control yourself, control your money. Control your money, control your options. Control your options, control your life. This is the transformation. You began by changing the way you think. You stopped thinking like a broke version of yourself. You learned to build before you show. You learned that discipline is the price of freedom. You learned to stop spending like you are lost. You learned that a paycheck is not a plan. You killed the excuses. You trained delayed gratification. You built value. You respected boring consistency. Now the final command is simple. Become the kind of person money cannot control. Not because you have everything, but because you are no longer owned by impulse. Not because life is easy, but because you are prepared. Not because you never feel pressure, but because pressure no longer makes your decisions for you. Freedom belongs to the disciplined. Peace belongs to the prepared. You have now learned that the highest level of financial discipline is becoming calm, focused, patient, and difficult to control. This is where the lesson becomes your life. Because once you understand this final truth, you are ready for the closing challenge. Control your money, control your habits, control your time, and choose freedom over comfort starting today. Control your money, or your money will control your life. Control your habits, or your habits will quietly build a future you do not want. Control your time, or your time will be spent serving everyone else's priorities while your own future waits in the background. Build before you show. Save before you celebrate. Learn before you complain. Own your decisions before you blame your circumstances. Choose freedom over comfort, because comfort today can become pressure tomorrow. Choose discipline over excuses, because excuses may protect your feelings, but they will never protect your future. Every dollar needs direction. Every habit needs correction. Every day needs ownership. You are not here to look successful while staying financially weak. You are here to become the kind of person who cannot be easily controlled by bills, fear, debt, impulse, or other people's decisions. So today, take one immediate action. Track your spending, cancel the waste, save the first dollar, pay the first debt, learn the first skill, or make the first plan. Do not wait for motivation. Move now. Build now. Choose freedom now.